I'll make it right again, but it's no use, you said. And my hunger grows and grows. I have to write the meaning of my life, or else everything's in vain. When the glory tries to tempt you, it may seem like what you need. But if glory makes you happy, why are you so broken up? So tell me how it felt when you walked on the water. Did you get your wish? Floating to the surface quicker than you sank. I know. So tell me how it felt when you walked on the water. Did you get your wish? Floating to the surface quicker than you sank. I know. Don't say you lose just yet, get up and move ahead, and not only for yourself, 'cause that's your role, the work that stirred your soul, you can make for someone else. One day you choke, your urges overflow, an obsession wears you down. But don't you waste the suffering you faced.
Hey everybody, happy Wednesday to you. Hope you all are having a wonderful evening and a great week so far. Welcome, of course, to Midnight Hatter Live, the weekly variety show where we talk Gundam, Gunpla, and gaming. I'm your host, Stephen Bayless, aka Midnight Hatter, and joining me as always, the Gundam explainer, Blue Gamer, Adam
Yep.
Blue. How are you, man?
Doing good. Doing really good because finally they announced when Hathaway's coming out here. I don't know if you heard.
Huge news. There's a lot of news to unpack. I don't know
know.
how much of what we're going to get to tonight. Obviously, with the Gundam Explained show tomorrow, we're going to be talking a lot of that stuff in depth. There are a couple of things that I think we probably ought to cover tonight.
Yeah.
Just given the nature of this show
Exactly.
for the past almost year. I mean, man, we've been covering Gundam G Generation Eternal pretty heavy. And of course, there is another Master League session going on in G Generation Eternal right now. Actually, I haven't even logged in today. That's how busy
Oh.
I've been today. Unlike some people, like I actually work during the day. But I'll probably log in here after the stream and do my dailies and try to
Of course.
fight my way up the Master League charts. They're actually, for the 1 year anniversary of G Generation Eternal coming out, they have a special perk where you get a free 10 pull with a guaranteed ultra rare unit, like an EX
Oh.
unit, and you get to just recycle that until you get the one you want.
Wait, when does this start? Did it start today?
Started yesterday.
Oh, okay.
So
Well,
you
I'm
can
not.
go in there. I've rolled it. I think my problem is that like I have an issue making decisions because obviously the grass is always greener somewhere else. And so, one of my first pulls, it was like, ooh, the full armor Thunderbolt Gundam. Well, maybe I do need another one of those. I have one, so being able to limit break it by one would be
Oh,
cool.
okay.
But on my second pull, I got the Endless Waltz Death Scythe Hell with Duo Maxwell. I was like, well, I'm a wing guy. I do love
Yeah.
wing. Maybe I'll go with this one. And then I hit, well, let's pull again, see what I get. and it's like, "Hey, I got another Origin Zaku, so maybe I get the Origin Zaku all maxed out." The I think where I'm at right now in G Generation Eternal is that I have all of the units that I would want
Right.
completely limit broken
Okay.
already. So it's like I've got the Zeta, I've got the Zazabi, I've got the double Zeta, I've got the Aerial, um, and then I've got several of like the ultimate units. So like the ones that you get for filling out an entire development tree. So like Casval's Gundam, I've got that. I've got the Red Zeta. Um, I
But
think those are the only ones. But
how
so
much of those are because of their tactics or, specials, or because you just like them?
well, let's be honest. Zeta is because I just like him.
Yeah, that
And
that one makes sense.
honestly, the ultra rare Camille pilot is kind of bad. I'm gonna be like, as far as gameplay goes.
Yeah.
His abilities are he has the high speed ability, which means he can move one extra space on a given turn. He also has the ability to heal, I think it's 30% of his health once during a battle. So he
Yeah.
like if he gets hit and he still survives, you can kind of restore his health a little bit. And then he has like a critical boost. So it's like um his criticals will do 50% more damage for one turn. But the Zeta in particular, the Zeta Gundam, not only is it a what do you call it? It's an atmospheric unit. So for some reason, the regular Zeta transforms. The ultra rare Zeta does not transform, but it's an atmospheric unit, which means that it can travel as if it's in the air at all
Oh,
times.
okay.
So it has like
That's
total movement superiority over everything. Obviously, it has its EX ability, so it's got the Wave Rider dash. It does the whole smash into you like Shirako, and that's one of the most powerful attacks in the game, as far as I know. It has a super long range with the Hyper Mega Launcher, and with that Hyper Mega Launcher, it has like a defense weakening ability. So it's like not only can you lower the defense of an enemy, but then you can go and deal more damage to them as a result of it. The ultra rare Zeta Gundam is incredibly powerful, and for the longest time when I was playing the game, the truth is I had the Char's counterattack Char Aznable piloting the Zeta Gundam
oh,
because
nice.
he has the ability to do the triple attack. Like he gets the extra chance step, and it
Ah,
doesn't matter
okay.
what mobile suit he's piloting. So that's pretty cool.
3 times. Yep.
3 hits, man. So you
That's
go in there with a Zeta Gundam, and it's like 3 kills on the first go.
wow, yeah, that's, man, yeah, I miss when we would be talking about this, which we still do, but, like, the tactics you told me about, like, they're just,
Well, and
uh
a lot of it has gotten, it's gotten interesting. There's a lot of fun tactics that are going on in like the SR range where it's like you can do interesting stuff with like the super rare and the super secret rare or super rare
yeah,
units. They're getting more interesting in terms of the abilities that they have. One of my favorite things is the like I don't know what they call it. It's like the early strike ability. This is one that they introduced in like it's like 2 months ago,
yeah,
and what they did was they introduced an ability that allowed certain units with certain attacks to attack first when they are being attacked. And this came with like I think it was with the double X. So like the double
oh,
X
okay,
Gundam has this ability where when he's defending an attack, he has an ability where it's like I'm going to attack first and then you can attack. And so that introduces a whole level of complexity to the game where it's like, "Oh, shoot." So, there are certain units that you can attack, but instead of you hitting first and they can hit you like a counterattack, they
yeah,
hit you first and then you get to attack. So, it definitely adds that extra layer of,
yeah,
tactical thing. I think that stuff is cool.
that
100%.
is. And it just reminds me over time with, like, GBO2, how they would add certain special moves for certain units, and it just changes the game, but then they start updating more, that's always a fun part about it. So at least they're always thinking of the gameplay.
Yeah, a little bit of
Yeah,
power creep.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, G Generation Eternal obviously did have the 8th MS team story event. So that I
Oh,
think is wrapping up this week, where
I forgot
if
about
you
that.
want to get the super secret rare Goof and Easy 8, those are part of the missions. They're super easy to play through. Honestly, I think a lot of what they've done with G Generation Eternal over the last 6 weeks is make everything way easier. Like, way
To get
easier.
you hooked on getting the
Yeah.
suits and getting through the story.
Right, getting through the story. What's
Mhm.
interesting is that I remember in the first, like, 6 months when the game came out, they would send out these surveys that were like, "Hey, did
Oh,
you
yeah.
discover this Gundam story through G Generation Eternal? Did you follow the story all the way through?" Like,
Yeah, that's trying to figure out what stories people want. Yeah, that's it's kind of
yeah,
interesting.
what's resonating with them.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool, and, again, if you guys haven't checked it out, I think you should, and I don't have the full details, but Adam, have you seen, like, the people that play it on their computer as opposed to playing it on mobile?
No, but I've, done that.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, early on when it first came out, I was doing there was 2 ways to do it. One where you could hook it up with a cable, um, and I think yeah, something over USB debugging or whatever, and then, the other one was it mirrors through an app like a screencasting. Yeah,
Gotcha. Yeah,
yeah.
I've seen people doing it, like, almost like a virtual device, and
Oh,
what's interesting about
yeah.
that is that you actually get to see the battle grid much more clearly. So, like, when you're playing on mobile, usually you can't see the individual squares that you're moving in unless you're, like, physically moving into those squares. But I've seen a lot of the tutorial videos that I've followed for, like, some of the harder levels. They actually
No,
have, like, the grid is on the screen, which is pretty cool.
I'm trying to remember because now that I'm remembering, I made a video, and I think I even what's it called? Okay, there's a app called Screen Copy. It's SCRCPY or emulation with BlueStacks, just bluestacks.com. It's the emulation, and that's how I was playing with mouse.
Nice.
And I think what you're talking about where you can see it. Yeah, so those are ways you could play it, which is pretty cool that you could still do it on your computer if you wanted to.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
and honestly, I feel like that might be the better way to play so that you're not like me, you're not addicted to it, you're not, like, playing while you're on the toilet, that kind of
Oh, hey, but I think that's why they made it.
thing. I think that is why they made it.
Yeah.
Um So before we hop into and again, like, I had no idea about the Hathaway news. I only knew about
Oh,
one of the movie announcements, and you told me that there's actually more movie announcements. We're
yeah.
probably not gonna get to all of them tonight because there are some things that I wanna share with you guys. There's some insights that I want to share with you guys as far as the production of like, minis and models and things like that, that I think are gonna be very cool. I'm excited to share those with you guys,
Yeah.
for sure. Was there something I wanted to hop into before that? I don't think so. I think we are just about
Yeah.
ready to start talking about some of the silliness that I've gotten into. So
Oh,
for
yeah.
one thing, I am excited because with the new 3D printer, the Anycubic Cobra X, it is a four color FDM, not a resin printer, but a filament printer that I have been manufacturing some of these deck boxes that have been out of stock for several months as I've been trying to figure out what is the most effective way to produce them. They will be going back up in the shop in the next day or so, because I'm gonna start printing some tonight, literally. Because again, I have a day job. I don't get to do some of this stuff during the day, and so it's only after midnight, hence the channel
Oh,
name, Midnight Hatter,
yeah, there
that
you go.
I get to manufacture some of these goodies for you guys. So, just in time for some of the new, Gundam card game stuff, we are gonna have some new deck boxes in stock, in addition to the Temray deck box that has, like, the dice container in it, which I was super happy with how well that turned out.
Yeah.
Really, I had to redesign the deck boxes a little bit, with in a just accounting for the differences between resin and PLA. But there's so many more benefits to this where it's like PLA is so much more durable than the resin boxes that I had been making before. You're not going to get that cracking and peeling. They're not painted, they are colored plastic. So that means like, all of this stuff, this is solid right here. Uh
Yeah.
so
That's
again, there's some trade-offs. Obviously, you got a little bit of a textured bottom because of the build plate or whatever. But I think that these are going to be much more um what's the word I'm looking for? Much more rewarding experience to show up to your next new type challenge with one of these
oh,
guys in hand.
yeah,
Um,
dude. That's pretty cool that you've kinda made these different iterations, to kinda get to what it seems like the best, spot.
yeah, well, and it's interesting because a lot of people still use the traditional like plastic deck boxes that have like the Velcro, like the flip over,
Yeah.
which like that is so old school. That is
Mhm.
like the Magic the Gathering style. It's actually funny. I saw a Instagram reel. Have you seen that Instagram trend that's like, "Dad, what were you like in the '90s?"
Oh, yeah.
And then
Yep.
they play Goo Goo Dolls, Iris, and "I don't want the world to see me." Um, well, what someone did is they were like, "Hey, Deck, what were you like in the '90s?" And it was, like, magic cards that were wound up with a rubber band and, like, all
Oh, that's
beaten up
funny.
because they're not sleeved and stuff like that. We don't do that here, okay? Look, we do not raw dog our Gundam cards. We use sleeves. Now, I'm not one of those weird, like, I don't know, I'm not a hypochondriac. I don't triple
Oh,
sleeve my cards. I use
triple,
a
wow.
single penny sleeve. This is all you need. But these deck boxes that I've designed hold up to 60 sleeved cards, which is just enough for obviously your resource deck, your full deck, and maybe 3 to 5 tokens if you have a deck that uses tokens. And I'm really excited to get those back up on the site here
Yeah.
shortly because obviously we've still got the play mats and other goodies. But there's other stuff that I've been running on this printer as well, and I'm excited to share that stuff with you as because like we've been talking a lot for the last couple weeks about Gundam Assemble
Yeah.
and what is that going to look like when that game comes out? And are there going to is there going to be like a heavy customs community? Well, I decided to do something a little bit silly because obviously with the Cobra X, it is a multicolor printer. I 3D printed a multicolor Gundam Assemble miniature. You guys probably can't see it too well here. I'm going to pull up a screenshot of it, but I just wanted to see, this is the scale that we're working with. Let me pull up the screen share here.
Yeah.
This is the Zaku 2 F2 from 0083, printed in 3 colors, not painted. There's probably a couple of defects here that it's not perfect by any means.
I don't notice the defects first glance.
You're very sweet. But this, I think, could be the future of tabletop gaming.
Yeah.
Because even if it's only 3 to 4 colors, you're talking about a mostly colored, like, anime accurate mobile suit here.
And the only reason it's these colors is just because that's what you had on hand. Otherwise, like right? It's like
Adam's putting me on blast. "Hey, this brokey can't afford colored resin, so he's
no, well, no,
just
because
like."
but what's funny is because when I first saw this, I thought that was supposed to be, like, glow in the dark,
Yeah,
and I was
it
like,
does
"That
look
is
glow in the
sick."
dark.
And I was like, "That is sick." So, I mean, that's even something you could, eventually do, but no, because, yeah, I was curious about the colors, but, because you were saying that it came with because that 3D printer does 4 colors, and
Yeah.
it came with 4. Uh,
Yeah,
you didn't
so
get the Zaku edition. pretty
when
much.
you pre-ordered this 3D printer, you get 4 random colors, and the
Yeah.
colors I happened to get were black, white, gray, and blue. And wouldn't you know it, there is the white, well, it's like tan, right? The 0083 Zaku, like
Oh, yeah.
the EFSF ground
Yeah.
forces Zaku that they use. That is it Keith doesn't pilot one, does he?
I don't
One of the
remember.
Federation pilots uses
Yeah,
a Zaku on land. So I
yeah, I
was
don't
like, "Well,
remember which
shoot,
one.
even if I don't use it this way, like, how easy would it be to just use a green, like, contrast paint and
Exactly.
paint the white parts, and then the rest of it is already black and gray." Like,
I
it's
know.
perfect,
I know, dude. That's what I'm saying. Like, even if it's to that, it's almost like people that do wanna paint but don't have to do too much.
which isn't that Gunpla?
Yeah,
Isn't that Gundam
exactly.
Assemble? Isn't that
Ex
what we're talking about here? Like,
Wow, you made a really good point.
so
That
one of the
Yeah,
things that has annoyed me a little bit about Gundam Assemble is that it leans a little bit too heavily into the Warhammer side of like tabletop gaming. Whereas Gunpla builders, not all Gunpla builders fully paint their kits. Most of them, well, I don't want to say most of them. I don't want to generalize anybody.
yeah,
But what I'm trying to say is that a lot of Gunpla builders use the anime colors that are included on the colored runners, and then they just weather them or they distress them. They don't paint them in a different color. They just use what's out of the box. One of the things about Gundam Assemble, these guys right here, they're solid gray.
yeah.
And that's not, I don't think that's a problem necessarily. Um but it kind of it's too similar to Warhammer or BattleTech. You know what I
I
mean?
know
Like,
I know
if
what you
you're
mean.
gonna make a Gundam product, make it a Gundam product, something that is reminiscent of everything that Gundam does.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right, and one thing that you brought up before is articulation. Like
Yeah,
the miniatures should
100%.
yeah. That they I really like what you're getting at here, to lean more into the spirit of Gunpla within miniatures instead of miniatures just looking like Gundam. So,
Exactly.
that's
Now,
interesting.
this production does come with some caveats, okay? I don't wanna say that everything was picture perfect because it wasn't, alright?
Hmm.
I wanna show you guys something. We're gonna go back into the big view here. One of the things about 3D printers, FDM 3D printers specifically, is that 3D printers poop. All of them poop, particularly the ones that print in multicolor. Uh, so what I want to show you is the amount of poop that this single print. I want you to see this. This little Zaku produced this much poop. Uh, Ironically, I'm using one of my older deck boxes to contain
Whoa,
some of it. What's that?
okay. Well,
Yeah.
I didn't realize it is all wow.
So this is some. z-
Now you gotta clean that up.
Now I've
Now
got to clean that up. One whole box of poop. Look at
Dang.
look at all this. Look at all that. Two two whole boxes of poop. We're not done yet. One baby jar worth of poop. So here is where I express the limitations of multicolor printing. And a lot of people probably already know this, but this is for the people, like I said, I'm always upfront, I'm always honest with people about what these creative endeavors entail, right? So to create this single Zaku created all of this printer waste. Now,
Wow.
rest assured, guys, like I'm going to recycle this. I'm going to grind it up. I'm going to extrude it into new filament.
Oh,
That's fine.
sweet.
That's why I save it, right? But what I'm trying to express to you, and this is where it becomes a question of like scalability and volume, is that
Mhm,
if I were to fill up the print bed with, let's see, this is about 1 inch in like square, it's like 1 square inch, right?
mhm.
That is about 1 foot around. So if I were to print 12 by 12, 144 of these, 144 would produce the same amount of waste as one. Isn't that fascinating?
Wait a minute. For one, you can fit 144 on your print bed?
I can fit 144 of this Zaku on
That
my
is
print bed.
dude, that is sick. Army build.
Army
Okay,
builders,
but
right?
then so then explain, yeah, that is it where, like, they're each other's, like,
So,
s yeah.
what you have to understand with this multicolor 3D printing is that every time, every layer that we change colors, which in this case is almost every single layer, every layer that we change colors, that means that it's gonna spit out about this much printer poop
Oh,
in order to,
wow.
like, purge the,
Yeah, extruder.
yeah, purge the extruder. So but it only has to purge once. So the more you pack onto the print bed when you do it, you only get one little purge. So
Mm,
if I print this model one time, I get this much waste. But if I print this same model, exact same model, this is the word, this is the catch. It's like I can't do like alternates or variants because obviously that
mm,
would incorporate more layer changes.
yeah.
If I print this exact same model 144 times on that print bed, I'm gonna get the exact same amount of waste, which means that it's actually more efficient for me to print 100 of these guys than it is to print a single one. Isn't that like
Which kids, that explains P-Bandai.
there you go. Okay, welcome to our TED Talk about
Yeah.
P Bandai. You're dead on because that really is it.
Yeah.
Is it's you know, and I've tried to express this to, like, my IRL bosses in the past, like, for instance, when I design packaging, hey, surprise, I design packaging, I do all kinds of stuff as my day job. One of the first questions I ask is, "Hey, when we create a new package, it means that we need a new die line, and if it's offset color printing, that means that every time we create new artwork, we need a new print plate, which means they're gonna charge you a setup fee." And so what's fascinating is, like, even this happened to me a couple months ago. I said to my boss, "Hey, do we want to put the model name of this product on the box, knowing that we are going to ship multiple products in this same package? Or should I make it generic and then we just slap a sticker on it for whatever product is in that box?" And I was assured by the geniuses that I work with that, like, "Oh, no, no, it's fine. We're gonna quote them for 60,000 units of packaging, and then we're gonna send them 4 pieces of artwork, and they're just gonna charge us the same thing." Sure enough, they got the quote for 60,000 pieces of artwork, and then when they sent 4 different artworks and said, "We need 20,000 of these, 30,000 of these, another 10,000 of these," they said, "Oh, well, that's gonna be, like, another $500 of setup for each artwork that you're sending." And I'm like, "Well, gee, isn't it fascinating that somebody who probably knows packaging designing suggested to you that it might be cheaper to just slap a different UPC label based on
It's like, who knew? Oh,
who knew?"
Steven.
And that's one of the things that people don't understand about the economy of scale, is that scale only works when it's many of the same thing, not
Yeah.
many of many things.
Yeah. No, that's yeah, that's true. I mean, that's and it's interesting because with P-Bandai, it's like they'll do the pre-order numbers, but then they'll, like, close it, and then they'll open it again,
Right.
like, maybe thinking, "Okay, well, actually, we can afford maybe to do more." Yeah. Or why they
Exactly.
have the dates in the first place. They're like, "Well, we'll just do it until this because we know we can, you know, just have a batch go out." Yeah.
Yeah, because and a lot of people just assume, like, well, they have the model kit, like, why is it so difficult for them to, like, and this is just 3D printing. 3D printing is, like, very economical when it comes to small scale productions,
Yeah.
but, like, when you're talking about large scale injection mold productions, that's a whole different ball game. Like, can you imagine firing up the injection molder and you've got all this colored plastic and like first of all you have a specific colored plastic and you have specific molds associated with it
Yeah.
and you have to swap out those molds based on what kit you're producing, and then you
Yeah.
have to swap out the colors based on what kit you're producing. Sometimes you might even print the same mold in multiple colors. For instance, when they do like a
Mm.
special finish, like Gundam based limited version of like a high grade
Yeah.
Zeta, for instance, like
Or
just
like what they chose for Apex. So I wonder if maybe the skins that they chose were based on what molds were easy for them to yeah.
exactly, exactly. So it's like a lot of these things, there's a lot of consideration that has to go into them, and it's easier for me with a 3D printer to do small runs of little things, but when you start talking about big runs of big things, then it becomes astronomically expensive to run an injection molder machine. Uh
Yeah. That would be insane to have that, which you end up doing in a few years anyway. No. But
we're gonna get there. Rest
hey,
assured, we are gonna get there.
that would be awesome. But Ultronomus actually was able to confirm when you said, Keith was the
Oh,
pilot,
yeah, let me
right?
go back here.
Yeah.
Did I miss that? It was
Oh, no, it wasn't too far back. But then he also said something else that was funny, "I'll take a fleet of sky graspers," and, like, that is an awesome idea. Like, I
yes,
love speaking of scale, I love battle scenes that have to do with the scale of mecha or ships or
dude,
something.
exactly. So,
Mhm.
yes, in 0083, Keith does pilot a Zaku 2 for the test battle. And I think
That's
that
cool.
he still continues to pilot that sa and correct me if I'm wrong, I think he pilots the Zaku 2 until they get to space, like, when they're
Yeah,
chasing Gato through the desert.
right.
Um But
But
yeah,
yeah.
Ultron says, "I'll take a fleet of sky graspers." Alan Mitchell says, "I would like 1 battalion order of
Ooh.
GMs, please."
Well, wait, how much is a battalion? Is that 1,000? I don't
I
know.
don't know. What's the is there
Yeah,
a
let's see.
confirmed number in the battalion?
Yeah, let's look that up. Um, oh, 300 to 1,000 soldiers.
300 to 1,000.
That's cool.
Well, I can get 144 per plate, which means 3 plates worth. Now,
That is a good idea, though.
dude, that is the
GMs.
craziest thing. This did take 8 hours to print this little guy.
Wow. So how long would it take? 140 whatever.
Not necessar so,
It would be a
it's not
multiplier.
it's not a multiplier. It's not like 8 hours times 1 model equals you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
it's like the scale thing where with the waste too. It's like the more efficient it runs it.
because
Yeah.
it's gonna take 30 seconds roughly. And so for you guys' information, I did record all of this. I don't know if you can see I have my camera stood up. I did a time lapse recording of this print specifically because I wanted to
Oh,
talk about
sweet.
this stuff. I wanted to share this whole process. So I'm going to be releasing not only a full length YouTube video,
Mhm.
but also like some shorts on Instagram talking about printing in multicolor and how it works.
That's
And
gonna be nice.
because not a lot of people do it for Gundam. There's a lot of people that do multicolor prints for like Pokemon charms and like
Right.
clickers and stuff like that. But like this is something that's unique, I think, in
Yeah.
both the Gundam and tabletop miniature space. There are some improvements we can make to this. For instance, like I said, it all comes down to A, the number of layers, and B, the number of color changes per layer. So for instance, if I were to break this model up and maybe like lay it flat in certain ways, I could minimize the number of color changes and
Mm.
maybe I wouldn't be able to fit as many on the print bed. Maybe we'd be printing 60 at a time,
Oh,
but
okay.
it would be less color changes, which means less waste.
Yeah.
So there are improvements that we can make. And again, this was this is not me. This was an AI generated model that, like, literally, I hopped into the Anycubic slicer and I just painted, put this in gray, this in black, this in white. Boop, 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 boop. It did really well just
Yeah,
with that.
dude.
I
Yeah,
think it
that is
looks really
crazy.
good.
It does. It really does. I mean, even the photo you have up, or at least that I was, that you had up earlier, like, it you can't even really see the lines on it, and maybe you can in person, but it almost doesn't matter because it's that small. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, the layer lines are almost invisible. There are
That
a
is
couple of,
awesome.
like, what I would say defects. So, like, for
Oh,
instance,
okay.
on the inside of the foot, you can probably see it in
Yeah.
this image here. On the
Mhm.
instep of the right foot, there are some areas where the leg wasn't supported properly enough. But
Mm,
again, this was an AI generated model. I didn't edit it at all. If I were to go
crazy.
in and fix this and, like, clean up these areas where, "Oh, this I know that this skirt needs support," or I know that this foot needs, like, an extra level of elevation, then we're talking about, like, a whole new level of miniature production that I think n look, maybe I'm being a little bit ambitious, but I think that if I were to ship a tabletop miniatures mecha game with up to 4 colored,
Yeah.
pre-primed 3D printed minis, that we would eat Gundam Assembles lunch.
I think so. I think so. That I like the multicolor thing just adds, I mean, it's just like I had no idea before you showed me this picture.
I'm pretty excited about it, and again, this was more of like an experiment than anything, just to see like, oh, how what would it turn out like if we did do this? Um, but yeah, I think that if I were to really dial in the mecha models that I'm working on for this game, I think that it's going to be less wasteful in general because we're going to optimize the models so that we're not doing as many color changes per layer. And B, uh, we can customize them to where, you know, I've always talked about this. The name of my game is Magmex,
Oh yeah,
inspired by Snapships because Snapships is like a space flight. It's kind of like
yeah,
X-Wing, but it's like a non-branded version of a
right.
space combat tabletop game. And the idea is you can customize your ship with snap-on parts. Well, the whole idea is that I can 3D print parts on this that I can sneak magnets into halfway through the print, and then you can swap out arms and limbs and things like that, and you get, like, customized units.
That's
That, I
awesome.
think, is then the next level because not only are you talking about and again, I still think that this should be painted, right? Like, you would still customize this a little bit, right?
Yeah, like for me, I would. So let me tell you, if Assemble looked like this, I would be more into getting them, and I would be detailing them. I
Yeah,
would be putting like the silver on the thrusters. I'd probably
little
do like
panel
the
lining.
yep, the mono eye using that type of paint that glows or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, slap a little, like, water slide decal on the shield, like, for your
That's the good one.
squad.
Yeah, that's another good one. That is fun. That is a fun type of painting I would be doing more. Um,
So that is what I am really trying to get at here. This is kind of like the end game, and this is the prototype that's gonna take us there. Um,
that's cool.
so I'm glad that you guys are kind of digging this so far because I think that it would be so easy to write this off as like, well, it is kind of wasteful. Yeah, it's not, but ultimately, look at like, your Henry Fords and your Thomas Edisons. It's like the first one out of the
Exactly.
gate isn't the one that really knocks it out of the park. It's the one that's like 2 or 3 iterations down the line from this. This is just a proof of
Exactly.
concept showing that we can 3D print up to 4 color miniatures and like they come out pretty solid. Like no this is no like post production, this is no like painting, this is like nothing. Nothing. out of the gate. We get this.
Right.
That's
I
pretty
know.
badass.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else like it.
And I'm surprised that no one else has done this yet, to be
Right.
honest with you. Like, you see a lot of stuff on Instagram, and maybe this is just me because, like, I'm plugged into, like, 3D printing communities, but there are a lot of people that are like, "Oh, I'm gonna 3D print a Bulbasaur or a Charmander," that,
Right.
like, maybe it's one of these, like, print in place, like, articulated figures that if I shake it, the legs will shake. But,
Oh,
like
yeah.
yeah, everyone's seen that kinda stuff, right?
Yep.
But, like, a fully painted miniature that's, like, ready for tabletop is pretty cool, and
Yep.
it's one of the things that I've always talked about, like, when I talk about, like, HeroScape. Dude, you used to be able to get, like, 8 HeroScape figures fully painted out of the box for $12, and now we're talking about you get 3 Gundam Assemble figures for 40? That's
Yeah.
outrageous.
Yeah,
Now,
unpainted.
I do wanna, like, even for as wasteful as this was, Adam, I want you to take a stab in the dark for how much this 3D print cost
How
in
much that
material,
would have cost you? Not, figuring
including
in
the
the 3D
waste,
printer. The what?
including the waste, not including the electricity to run the 3D printer, but just the
Um,
material usage.
uh, $10. I
10?
have I have no idea, to be
Bro,
honest. I
that is wildly high.
Okay.
This miniature in materials, including the waste, was 270
But how did you measure that?
because the slicer, any cubic slicer next tells you how much material it's gonna cost you to make
Oh.
your product.
Oh, that's cool.
So I
I
was like, "Hey, here's the filament I'm using. It's the Anycubic, like, PLA that I'm," and they're like, "Okay, so we're gonna waste this much because of the each layer, blah, 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 blah. Here's how much the volume of the piece is." Which it so for reference, like, this box, I think was like, oh, man, I don't remember off the top of my head, but suffice to say, the box was, like, less than $1.
Wow.
Not because the volume's different, because obviously it's a bigger box than it is a
Yeah.
miniature, but because the waste produced it. Like,
Oh.
this doesn't have any supports on it. This did.
Yeah, that's like a perfect print.
Exactly.
Where
Like, this prints just side by side.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Even
I
even with all of this, it's still only $2.70. So it's like, wha I don't know. Why am I going to Bandai to buy some Gundam Assemble miniatures when I can
just
print
make your
some
whole fleet.
for, like, a few bucks,
Yeah, that is pretty amazing.
and they're in multiple colors? I don't know. It's crazy.
I know. It would be awesome, like, as you're playing it, maybe doing videos of playing Gundam Assemble, and you actually have your own custom, mobile suits, that would just look
We
cool.
do have a lot of time between now and then, so definitely
Yep.
drop in the chat if you guys want to see more of this type of stuff. These so honestly, like, the 3D models are easy enough to produce, but, like, the multicolor models, if you guys are interested in them, I will start producing them because obviously I'm making them anyway. Let me
Yeah.
know if you guys want to have these, like, the CTB files, and I'll make them available. Like, that doesn't matter to me. If you
Yeah,
guys
that
wanna make some proxies and stuff like that, this is fun. Um, it did, like I said, it took a long time to print, and in terms of waste, it did produce more waste than it did figure.
which is
Um,
crazy.
but if you're gonna do some army building, like, if you print 100 of these, it's gonna produce the same amount of waste, so it's like, what difference does it make?
I know, man, you should've just done that the first time. No, I'm joking, because you don't want the first one to have, like, a glaring issue, and you're like, "Ah, sh"
Exactly. That was the big deal with these guys is, right, like, I had designed the deck boxes with the sole purpose of being printed on resin printers, and so there's so many, like I said, there's so many different like pros and cons to that. So first of all, I can print 6 of these in the same time that it takes me to print 1 on my resin printer, just because of the size of the print bed. In addition
Oh
to
yeah.
that, the post-production time, you're talking about extra UV curing, you're talking about painting, you're talking about top coating, all this stuff. The one that comes off the PLA bed is already in color, it's ready to go, you don't have to do anything with it. All we gotta do is add our chip for
Yeah.
the branding, right? Whether it's the Ostacasia, the Oz, ESF, Xeon, what have you. So this guy is like ready to go out of the box. And additionally, PLA is stronger. It's not as brittle as resin. So it's safer in a lot of ways because like
Yeah.
this, I don't want to say it's food safe. It's almost food safe. So like I've bought PLA cookie cutters on Etsy where people will customize a cookie cutter to like have your family name on it or whatever, like
Oh
Merry
wow.
Christmas from the Blues, and you stamp out a cookie cutter.
That's
A
funny.
and that's totally safe. This, similarly, is this is like I said, I'm not gonna advertise it as food safe when it's not, but it's almost food safe
Yeah.
compared to resin, which is highly toxic, highly
Yeah.
cancerous. So,
Yeah.
there's so many benefits to this material over what we were doing before. However, because I was designing for resin in the past, and I was designing for the fact that there was gonna be overprint, that there was going to be, um, you depending on the type of resin we use, you might over cure it by like 2 or 3 seconds just to make sure that it's solid. PLA doesn't have that problem. It is like down to 0.3 millimeters of accuracy when it comes to tolerances and clear space.
Mm.
So the first thing that I needed to do was print 1. I wasn't gonna just run and, like, print 30 of
Oh
these things knowing that they weren't gonna be the right size. So, this was one of the first ones I ran. I've got a couple more that I adjusted the basically, I just adjusted the tolerance of the inner cavity here where the box closes,
yeah. Oh, okay.
and so that is what is gonna cause it to be a little bit tighter. Because right now, I think, like, that's not good.
Oh,
This one's not good. This is one of the prototypes that is a failure, and we need to make it a little bit tighter before we ship out the product, but
okay.
that's the level of quality control that I'm putting in before I let you guys buy these things.
Yeah. No, that's good. It's good you think about that because I didn't there's a few things from the last one too that I just like I wouldn't even think about, you know? So that's pretty good. That's always good to keep that stuff in mind.
100%. Yeah. Man,
Yeah.
I feel like I have been just talking up a storm about 3D printing and product
That's okay.
design and all kinds of silly stuff. We haven't even really talked about, like, Gundam tonight.
Yeah, kind of. We
A
kinda
little
did.
bit,
No, but this is good
tangentially.
stuff. Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. But did you wanna talk about any of the news or anything?
So, I will just bring up this briefly because,
Okay.
again, I didn't hear about the Hathaway news. All I had heard about today was that the Mobile Suit Gundam live action movie has a new actor attached to it.
Mhm.
The villain from Spider-Man, the guy that plays Scorpion. Is
Yeah,
that right?
apparently I I think maybe in this new movie, or the new Spider-Man movie, I don't know if he's been in others, and he might have been. I don't know.
Maybe, I don't know. I haven't seen it. I don't know this actor from anything else, so I don't know, like,
Did you ever
remember
play
we had
Far
that
Cry 3?
conversation a couple weeks ago about Jason Clarke, and it's like, "Oh,
Oh,
yeah, Jason Clarke, the guy from, like, Terminator, the guy from Planet of the Apes," like, we know Jason Clarke. This guy, I
but
don't know too much about him.
okay. Did you ever play Far Cry 3?
I've never played any Far Cry. Are
Okay.
they good games?
I think so. I've really only played 1 and 3 and Blood Dragon, but they're good. He plays the main villain in it that is throughout the entire game, and it is incredible. It's probably one of the best, like, video game characters I think.
Man,
Like, you
talk
don't
about typecast, right? All he is a
well,
villain.
so, yeah, because he has that energy. He has that so, here's the thing, you brought up Jason Clarke also. He's out.
What?
That's the other news.
He's cooked.
He's cooked. But they also announced another actor. It's an actress. Her name's like Shiloh something. She's Japanese. And the weirdest effing coincidence happened today. I was reading an article from your boy Kojima, and he is talking about smells. And I'm like, this dude is so pretentious. And I was like, does he even hire Japanese actors in his games? So I looked, and it was maybe Dushilo, or I might be saying her name wrong. Let me look. It's Shy. No, it's Shioli. Shioli. It's the first time I've ever seen this.
Sydney
So,
Sweeney.
uh,
Who else? Let's see this.
um,
Sholai.
maybe if you hit news at the top or put in her name.
You are blowing my mind right now.
I know this is anyway. She's the actress in Death Stranding 2, and
Oh, okay.
she's now in. She's going to be in this Gundam movie. So Jason Clark is out. Michael Mando and Shioli Kutsuna is in. And this kind of throws everything curveballs, maybe. Unless I
Yeah,
was
for
to
sure.
say, and here's a sneak peek for tomorrow's show, that Michael Mando would play Kai because he would have Kai energy, even though it doesn't look like it. But he has
Yeah.
Kai energy. And um
I like how this was one of the replies to the news. So this is
oh
obviously a Japanese account translated for Japanese, like Mobile Suit Gundam, welcome Spider-Man villain, and then it's like the first thing is this.
yeah. But Shilo Katsuna could be playing a Mirai.
Okay.
I I don't see Mando Michael Mando taking the place of Jason Clarke's character unless they're actually just changing it in some way. You know what I mean? Like they seem like 2
Sure.
different actors.
I
Um,
I'm glad that you broke this news now. So, like, this is perfect because we definitely don't have time to dive into this, like, in depth tonight. We are
yeah,
So, all you guys watching tonight, 100% tune into the Gundam Explained show tomorrow because we are 1000% going to
talking
be
about this.
debating this. I'm gonna be looking up all of these actors and actresses tonight and breaking down their entire filmography, showing why they are not suitable to to be in a
Yeah.
Gundam film. This is why I this you're hitting me with the Donald Trump meme right now where I'm like, you're telling me this for the first time. This is the first time I'm hearing of it.
That's awesome. I
Uh,
like and it's funny
Jason
because
Clarke was a wonderful woman. He was a wonderful I don't
but it's crazy because I didn't know this it wasn't until, like, maybe yesterday, last night for the first piece, and then today I was at the dentist, and then the other news came up, but within the article for the girl, Shioli, it's where it mentioned Jason Clarke backing out. So, yeah, I don't know, dude. There's so much tomorrow we can speculate on.
Yeah, I mean, I would be I'm my
Still in
first
shock.
thought is like, why would he back out of a project when it's like he's not somebody who's it's it's been a while since he's been like swimming in work.
Yeah,
Like 5, 6 years ago, he was in, like, everything, I feel like. But now, he's kind of like, his career's kinda slowed down a bit, which, I mean, everybody's career is gonna ebb and flow
yeah,
in that vein, but, like, when you get attached to even this isn't like I get it. The Gundam movie is not gonna be your A-list blockbuster film. But when your name gets attached to something that is super, um, publicized
yeah.
and there's already been articles and videos and all these things made about you being a part of this project. To back out of it
But
might
we don't
be.
know the circumstance. What if he was told or maybe once they, because they're gonna start shooting in a week, and so maybe I don't know, and I don't know if, again, Michael Mando is replacing, so much you could
We
speculate
still
on.
don't know the details on why Jordan Vaught Roberts dropped out
Yeah,
and it was replaced by Jim Mickle. So it's like there's a whole
and Jim
um
Mickle's a guy that adapts comics, so it's like nothing, it's just the pieces are there, but they don't align. You know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah.
It's like how Sydney Sweeney, oh, Sayla, but Noah Centineo for Amuro? I mean, maybe, but then the 08 MS team, it's like, well, then it would be a Japanese, all that stuff. Hey, but did you say you also didn't know about the Hathaway 2 movie?
Yeah, I didn't.
Okay, yeah, May 15th in theaters in the US, but it
Oh,
wasn't so far, didn't show up at, like, the Cinemark or anything, app that I have, so.
nice. Well, yeah, I mean, a buddy of mine was like, "Oh, hey, do you wanna go see, Mandalorian and Grogu?" And I'm like, "Well, do I need to have seen Mandalorian season
Oh,
3? Because I haven't yet."
yeah, I don't remember what
I
happened
feel
in
like you
season
do.
3 except that, like, I just remember it was just, I don't remember it. You
Which
know
is
what?
funny because wasn't it all member berries?
Yeah, I think so. That wa exactly, that's why
Remember
it's easy to
remember Luke
forget.
Skywalker?
So, uh, I don't know if I'm gonna see it in the theater. I feel like I would, especially since nowadays you get the reserved seat, so I don't have to, like, wait in line or anything. I can just
Yeah,
sit
I
down
know.
and then, like, be pissed. "Okay, what's this movie?" No, I'm joking.
Well, I don't know, it was funny because when I went to go see G-Quux in theaters, like, it was not that, but it was one of the smaller theaters at like, how do I phrase this? It was one of the smaller theaters at the theater. Like, you know how, like,
Oh, I know what you mean.
when you go
Smaller
to the
screens.
theater, there's, like, some of the rooms have, like, a 300 seat capacity, and then some of them
Yep.
are, like, a 60 seat capacity. This was one of the smaller rooms, and when I first got in there, it was literally me and one other person, which was wild. I was like, "Dude, is this do I get to watch G-Quux, like, almost by myself?" But before the movie started, it was like, 10 or
Oh,
15 people piled in.
oh, that's cool. That reminded me this one
I
time, it was
it
like,
so do you like that?
"Wait,
Maybe
what?"
I'm just a misanthropist, but I'm like, "Ugh, don't sit next to me, please."
No, I get that. I do, like, if I go to a movie and there's not many seats, I'll still try to find one where I'm not directly next to someone, but sometimes you can't help it. But
Right.
that reminds me, this was, like, a year ago, Christmas the year before, like, this werewolf movie came out in theaters for just, like, a weekend, and I wanted to see it so bad, and the last showing was, like, 11 PM or maybe, like, 10:30 PM in a small dinky theater, and no seats had been bought, and I was like, "Oh, should I do this?" And it seemed like a scary thing to do, but it's like I kinda wanted to go be the only one in this theater watching this werewolf horror movie. I didn't do it. That
Oh,
story.
chicken.
Yeah, that story did not, well, part of it was, like, being out late with the
Right.
family at
Yeah,
home.
there's that too.
Yeah.
God, responsibility.
Ugh.
It's funny, like, um, there was so do you know, like, Elliot in the Morning, like, radio show, that
No.
sort of thing? What was interesting is a few days ago, maybe it was, like, 2 weeks ago, he was covering the oldest movie theaters in America. And this was fascinating to me because I didn't know this, but the oldest movie theater in America that is still currently showing movies is actually in my hometown.
Oh,
Not only that, it is the theater where my church meets.
wow.
So the Bird Theater in Richmond, Virginia is like the oldest theater, and, like, I felt bad because a lot of the people that he was asking questions of, they didn't know what they were talking about. Like, I'm there every week because, like, church, right?
That's
So
crazy.
I can answer questions like, "Oh, yes, they do show current movies, but it's usually like 6 weeks behind whatever is currently in, like, the box office." And they do, like, $2 to $3 movie tickets, like, it's discounted from,
Wow.
like, what you would normally pay for, like, a movie
Do they have
ticket.
an app
They
and
do
assigned
not have an
seating?
app.
So that's cool. It's like classic.
It's old school, they just had all the seats redone, like, a couple years ago, and part of the reason that, like, my church meets there is because volunteer work-wise, they clean the place, like, on Sunday mornings. It's like, so after Saturday night's, like, movie crowd comes in and leaves popcorn and, like,
Oh,
sticky
wow.
candy all over the floor, the church comes in and cleans it up, and so it's like, that's part of how they keep the overhead of the church of the not the church, the overhead of the theater down.
I like that.
Um,
That's
it's like a historical landmark, and then they do this thing where it's like, we have the Mighty Wurlitzer, so this guy will, like, once a week come out and do these live shows where he plays the Wurlitzer, which I guess is like this kind of organ that, like, comes up
oh,
out of the ground and, like,
oh,
he
that's
does
cool.
these amazing shows, it's crazy.
I gotta go there sometime. I gotta see this. I gotta witness it.
You dude, you so, likewise, I need to come down to DFW and experience
Whatever
all
it
of the
is to
cool
experience.
stuff that you because
Your cool stuff
even
there.
earlier this week, I got super jealous of, like, the random, um, like, the gotchas that you got, like, the Zeta
Oh, yeah.
the gold Zeta and the, white
I
and pink
know that
Zeta in the
so that's
blind
what you're
boxes.
talking about. Yeah, if you're down here, we need to hit up those shops.
If you guys haven't checked it out, go over to Gundam Explained, watch Adam's video from Monday where he
Yeah,
dropped, like, some of these blind boxes that he bought from the malls down there. We don't have anything like that over here on the East Coast,
crazy.
but we do have the oldest theater in the
Yeah,
world,
there you go.
apparently. So
Oh, that
so
works.
if you wanna come here and watch, like, Rocky Horror Picture Show, I don't know.
Which I've done.
Um Well, dude, this was a fun show. Honestly, I came in tonight not knowing what we were going to talk about because I was like, man, there's so much stuff going on. And honestly, I had been so unplugged. So I appreciate you breaking some Gundam news for me tonight.
Yeah,
Hopefully, you guys are going to be free tomorrow night to tune into the Gundam Explained live show where we're going to go even deeper on this live action movie news.
yep,
Definitely check out Gundam Explained tomorrow morning for the morning show because I know
yes.
that you're gonna talk about some of this stuff as well.
Yeah, that's true.
And, until next time, guys, hang in there. Just, keep doing what you're doing. Stay positive.
Yeah,
There's cool stuff on the horizon, alright?
yeah,
I feel it. So,
I do too.
stick with me on this. This is gonna be a fun journey. Hope you guys have a great evening, great rest of your week. We will see you tomorrow.
Yep,
Adam, thank you as always. You're the
no problem.
man.
It's a lot of fun. See you guys.
Cheers.